No music allowed. Last FM service was blocked in Russia. This is the website of the American Paramount Global company. It collects information about the music that users listen to, and then using this data, it automatically compiles individual and general charts. Access to the resource was restricted to Russian due to a song by Ukrainian singer and producer Mikhailo Medvedev about Chornobaivka. This is a town in the Kherson region that was once occupied by the Russians. They used to place their equipment there, and it was repeatedly destroyed by the Ukrainian military.
Chornobaivka, Chornobaivka, тебе всі русні.
The website was banned by one of the Kremlin state bodies. At the same time, the Russian media reported on an incident when a resident of the occupied Crimea listened to this song loudly in her car. The track about Chornobaivka was the first among the troll songs written by Ukrainian musician. I have a protective reaction of the body like any creative person. When despair sets in, I start doing something in order to somehow crush this despair, and I create songs. It's just a creativity into which I weave the same trolling that makes people's butts explode. By the way, about the explosions, one of Mikhailo's songs is about them. The musician dedicated the track to unknown explosions on the territory of Russia. Also, the Russians did not like his track about how the occupiers were retreating from the Kiev region at the end of March 2022. The Kremlin called it a gesture of goodwill, and what it actually was, told the head of the patrol police of Ukraine and a former soldier, Yevhen Zhukov. He is convinced that the occupiers left the Ukrainian capital because they were kicked out.
Идея не сейчас Киевская область. Их нет. Почему? Потому что получили. Вот и все. Вот и все.
Mikhailo Medvedev is actually not too worried about the fact that Russians will not hear his songs, because he wrote them for the Ukrainians, not for the Russians, who rejoice at the shelling of Ukrainian residential areas or simply sit and do nothing to stop the war. When people talk about good Russians, I don't believe it, because there are no good Russians. When I heard the first excuse of a man, he said, "Well, this is my country, I have to be with it." Well, if your dad is an alcoholic, he beats your mother, then you should be with him because he's your dad? This is such a stupid logic. I mean, there is no logic at all. If your country is making such a mess, then you have to react somehow. If you don't respond, then you are an underdog. You just sit and calmly watch all this horror. Mikhailo Medvedev is not the only Ukrainian musician whose track was blocked on popular music resources in Russia. Ivan Semesyuk, the frontman of the Piratin band, faced this problem even earlier. His song Arta, written shortly after the start of hostilities in Donbass back in 2014, was removed from the Spotify resource. Semesyuk says the fact that the track was removed is insulting. However, he convinces that this is exactly what Ukrainian culture should be today. Counter-offensive. You just have to oppose Russian culture. At least it was not broadcasted from there. As long as there is Moscow, as long as there is that anthill, as long as there is Russian YouTube, we are under hypnosis. Much of us, teenagers and so on. This is hypnosis. Muscovy works just like that, through hypnosis. We cannot hypnotize them. We don't have the power and strength for that. Therefore, it's necessary to find an alternative way. After a year since the full-scale Russian aggression started, Ukrainian music quickly became popular throughout the world. This is evidenced by the victory at the European Song Contest of Kalush Orchestra with the song Stefania. Currently, the clip has 51 million views on YouTube alone, and in June 2022, the track became the most popular on Spotify in the countries of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. The legendary Pink Floyd made its own version of Chervona Kalina, which was sung by the Ukrainian musician and now military man Andriy Khlevnyuk. In April 2022, this track took first place on the iTunes charts of 25 countries. Among them are the USA, Italy, Great Britain, Greece, Poland, Czech Republic, Finland, and the others.
Ой, у лузі червона калина, похили
World-famous Ed Sheeran sang together with the Ukrainian band Antitila. From the first days of the Great War, its members joined the armed forces and defended their country. And while the whole world sings along with the Ukrainians, all the Russians can do is sing over Ukrainian songs. The occupying country is gradually turning into a zone of exclusion, where its inhabitants can only kill, rape, and steal.